want you to prepare yourself for a great word from the Lord just for you. Please like and share. I know you're going to enjoy this message. Prepare yourself. Get your paper and pen if you believe you need it. Let's get ready to go into the message.
I'm going to Proverbs 3 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. King James Version says, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. You may be seated. I thank God this morning for being here. I thank God for another day. He woke me up. He didn't have to do it, but he woke me up and then brought me to church, because it's too dangerous to come to church sometimes. People shooting and road rage, but I thank God that I'm here. I was reading last week about trusting in God. I'm going to read this little passage by the captain, and he was on the ship. The captain of the ship looked into the dark night and saw a light in a distance. Immediately he told the signalman to send a message, alter course 10 degrees south. He promptly received a reply, alter your course 10 degrees north. The furious captain sent another message, alter your course 10 degrees south. Soon another reply came in and said, alter your course 10 degrees north. Going on and on. I am a seaman, third class Jones. The captain sent a message, alter your course 10 degrees south. I am a battleship. The reply came again, alter your course 10 degrees north. I am a lighthouse. All of that. I'm a lighthouse. I'm directing you. I'm helping you. So I am a lighthouse. And today we're going to talk about God being the lighthouse. So my subject today is trust God. Just 2 words. I remember when my daddy was in transition, and Carolyn wanted to hear a word from him. I guess something that's really, before he passed, he would, give her something. And what he said to her was, trust God. That was it. That goes a long way. Trust God. So we're going to go with that, trusting in God. Sometimes it's hard for us to give control to anybody. And then when you say trust God, as Christians, we know that we should put our trust in God, but sometimes we still hesitate to put our trust in God. We don't want to give control. We already know how to do it. God knows everything, and we should know this, but we still want to be in control. In order for you to trust God, to be your leader and to direct your path, you have to give him control. You have to develop a relationship with God in order for you to trust him. If you don't have a relationship with anybody, you don't trust them. And I was thinking about young couples, that it really don't have to be a young couples anywhere. If they want to develop a relationship with another person, what they do, they try to learn that person, what makes them happy and what makes them smile and what they hate. And everything they can learn about him, that's what they want to do in order to develop a relationship and a commitment. I mean, you have to be committed. If you don't be committed, you don't have no relationship. You don't trust anybody. You don't trust each other. So in order for us to build a relationship with God, we got to know about him. You got to read the word. You can't know about it. You can't develop a relationship. You don't pray. You don't read the word, how are you going to develop a relationship with God unless you know him? If you don't know him, you can't develop a relationship. The word trust here implies both decisions to trust God, but also a commitment to create a habit of trusting. The word heart, it says trust in the Lord with all your heart. It's the extent of which we are to trust God, with our whole heart. When we love somebody, I'm a person, when I love you with my whole heart. I mean, that's the way I am. Other people might not be like that, but when I love you with my whole heart, I love you. Let's go to about the characters that's in the Bible that I was reading about. And the first person, we're talking about trusting in God. So Joseph, in Genesis 37, you can read it later. Joseph had a lot of struggles. His brothers, some of y'all might know the story. He was Joseph with the coat of many colors. So on your own, you can read Genesis 37. He had a lot of struggles, but he had to trust God. We have a lot of struggles in our lives, but we have to learn how to depend on God. Joseph, brothers dropped him in a pit. Boy, that's bad, ain't it, when your brothers do that to you? Drop you in a pit because they thought Joseph thought he was better than they were. Now, this is the youngest, and his father loved him, but they dropped him in a pit. That's ruthless. And then he was sold into slavery. And then Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him. She lied on him. But Joseph did not turn on God. He was still faithful to God. He still trusted God. In all of that, he trusted God. And then in the end, what happened? Pharaoh made him not ruler, but he made him, gave him a signet ring, handing him Egypt. In other words, take care of this, take care of that. But he made him head man. You might as well say head man, because he trusted in God. Because we go through so many stuff. I don't know if anybody here don't have no troubles in their life, but I have some. I have problems. I have difficulties. But I have to learn how to just trust in God and put it in God's hand. So Joseph put it in God's hand. He gave everything to God. He could have quit. Say, I'm not going to do this. And then after all of that, when they were in slavery, he tried to do his best job. He didn't just say, because they messing with me and because I don't like them, I'm going to just do enough to get by. He did the best he could. And people see that. God knows all of your problems. So he put all of his trust in God. He was able to go on with his life, and he was blessed by Potiphar also. He entrusted him with everything because he trusted in God. Now let's go to Moses. Everybody knows that story about Moses. You see it on TV, you see the movie, and you see all of that. And Moses, in the beginning, he didn't want to go, but he went. He was a reluctant leader. He didn't want to do this, he didn't want to do that. But in all, he bought Egypt. He bought Israelites out of Egypt. He bought them all out. And we know all the stories, and the one I like is the doorpost, putting the blood over the doorpost. Say, when I see the blood. Woo! I like that. When I see the blood, I'll pass. When I go home, sometimes I take my oil and I just put it on the doorpost. I was putting it on the bottom, but they didn't say nothing about putting it on the floor. Putting it on the doorpost. And I say the blood of Jesus. And I walk around and say the blood of Jesus. I go outside and I put the oil on my front door. I go out the back door and I put it on the back door and I plead the blood of Jesus because I trust in God. I trust in God that he'll keep the enemy out of my house. I trust in God. Hallelujah. Glory to your name, Jesus. I plead the blood over my house. I don't know if anybody else do it, but I plead the blood over my house. I even go in the windowsills and I anoint my windowsills. And one day I took the oil and went outside and poured that blessed oil all around my house. All around my house. I didn't stop nowhere. I pleaded the blood over my house. When I see the blood, I'll pass over it. I trust God. So I trust God and Moses, everything they went to, and then they got to the Red Sea. And we know the story. We got Pharaoh's army behind us. We don't have nowhere to go. That's sometimes how life hits us. Our back is against the wall. And they ran, and the people's at the Red Sea, and then you had people complaining around you, and you should have let us stay over here, and all of that. And Moses still did. What he say? Stand still and see the salvation. And they went across on dry ground. It wasn't muddy. It wasn't wet. He had to trust God. And when you put your trust in God, God don't have to do anything. God don't have to do nothing. They went across on dry ground. Not wet. The water was up. They didn't get wet. Then anywhere in the Bible says that somebody got wet or somebody drowned. But when they got across, Pharaoh's army was, what's that song say? Pharaoh's army got drowned in the Red Sea. They trusted in God. And when you put your trust in God, there's nothing that God won't do for you if you just trust him. All you have to do is put your trust in him. And then we get to Job. Whew. Job. He was sick a long time. He had boils. His friends talked about him. His wife talked about him. And that's the way people do around you. When you're going through troubles and struggles, they'll talk about you and you ought to do this. Like his wife said, curse God. You ought to do this. And that's what they do when you're going through. They want to tell you how to run your life. Instead of you trusting in God, you listening at people telling you how to run your life. He trusted in God. He did not give up on God. He lost all of his children. He lost all of his wealth. He lost all of it. How many of us would just sit back and do nothing when we don't lose? We try to take control, don't we? We try to take control of what God's supposed to do. But he didn't do anything. He said, naked I came into this world. Hey, what is it? Hey, he didn't. He gave it to God. And then in the end, what happened in the end? He was restored 2 times more his wealth. And he had more children. You cannot just look back and say he didn't regret, he didn't, his other children that he lost. Yes, it's sad when you lose children, but God blessed him with more children. More children. That's because he trusted in God. He didn't sit and listen at people try to tell him what to do. You must have did this, or you must have did that, or you should have did this, or you should have did that. Everybody got advice for you when you're going through struggles. They got advice for you. They want to tell you what to do. But he stayed there, and he stayed with God. He did not lose faith in God. And that's how we got to be. Don't lose faith in God. And then we think about Abraham. Abraham, God told him go sacrifice his son. You really got to trust God when God is telling you to give up your child. Sacrifice your son. He told him go down, and he told him how to do it and what to do. And Abraham went on anyway, and his son said, where's the sacrifice? But Abraham never stopped. He never stopped. He kept doing what he was doing. Sometimes it don't make sense when God is telling us to do something. It don't make sense, and we kind of question God. God, do you really want me to do it like this? God, you sure about it? And God is sure of everything. But we are questioning God because it don't make sense. Now, Abraham taking his son up for a sacrifice, but God gave Abraham that child. So Abraham trusted in God, and I can imagine maybe he was thinking, well, if he dies, God gonna bring him back to life, you know. But he put his faith in God. And when you put and you trust and you put your faith in God, God will bring you out every time. So when he took him up there and he got everything ready for the sacrifice, there was a ram in the bush. The ram in the bush. He trusted God. You know, we have a lot to do. We don't go through as much as they did in the Bible days, but we do have struggles. We do have problems. But they trusted God. They say God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Just like he did then, he can do it now. All we have to do is put our faith in God and our trust in God. And then we think about the lady Ruth. Ruth had got, her son had died, her husband had died. She was being discriminated against. She was living in poverty, social discrimination. We can get through by struggles and stuff, and we see that today, social discriminations, and we have poverty. We don't always have food on our table like the pastor was saying. We didn't even know we was poor at my house. We used to eat them old cheap wieners and cheap sausage my daddy used to bring in there. And my Uncle Leo would bring stuff. He'd tell him where the sale is, and there my daddy go. And running out there where Uncle Leo said it was a sale. We didn't know we was poor. We didn't know. My mother used to fix what she would call potato stew. And that's when we really ran out, because you don't use them potatoes, milk, and water, and butter. And she fixed a pan of cornbread, and we was like, wow, you know, we was excited because she fixed potato stew today. But that was all in the house. We didn't know we had idea that we was poor, but we didn't have any money in the house. My daddy was self-employed, so not all the time did he have money, but we made it through. We made it. They trusted in God. We was too young, but they trusted in God. And sometimes you hear about what the older saints used to say, that God was a provider and he bring food. When they didn't have nothing, they sat down. I heard one lady say she sat down to the table. She didn't have nothing. She set the table like she always did, and there was a knock at the door. When the knock at the door was groceries coming in the house that somebody bought. But she had enough faith, and she trusted in God that God was going to provide. He was a provider. God is still a provider. Sometimes you might not know where your next meal is coming from, or you don't have money to pay that bill. God is a provider. He will provide your needs. So in 1 Peter 5:7, it says, casting all your cares upon him, all your problems, all your struggles, cast all your cares upon him because he cares for you. And then it goes on and said, lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge God. Lean not to your own understanding. God's ways are better than ours. We can't go by what we think. God's way. His motives are pure. His decisions are more final. He's the only one who can bring it to pass. Nobody else can bring it to pass but God. God's ways are better than ours. I like that. His ways are better. We think we can see that if I do it like this, it'll be better. and I can do this, and we're planning in our head. But God already have the plan. He has a master plan. One day I was praying. I have a game room upstairs, which is no games in it, just me and my husband. So that's my prayer room. So in the morning, I'll go upstairs. I have my Bible, and I read and I pray. And this morning, the things that I go through, and this particular morning, I say, you know what? I'm going to just sit here and wait for God to answer. Wait for God to talk to me. And you know what happened? There was a dove. And if you know what a dove stands, God's peace. So there was a dove that came to my window after I said, Lord, I'm going to wait for an answer. I'm going to listen for your word. I'm going to listen for you. I want you to give me a word. And the dove came, and a dove never just sit on my ledge in upstairs. So I looked at the dove came, and I thought about God. This is peace. This represents the Spirit of God. And the dove wasn't moving. It was just looking straight in my window. You know how birds do? They chirp, they move, and it just looked right there. As to say, I see you. I know what's going on. Thank you. Hallelujah. I see what's going on. All you have to do is put your trust. Put it in God. He'll talk to you. He'll speak to you. Hallelujah. And it just sat there, and then it flew away. But no, a dove haven't came there since, but I know somebody might say, oh, it was just a bird. And he was just looking in my window. He was looking at his reflection. No, because my window is kind of crunchy upstairs. You know how that green stuff, they have to be sprayed off, and HOA say clean everything on the side. So I know he couldn't see his reflection, not on that little spot where I have to find something to reach that high. So you can't tell me he was looking at his reflection. He was looking at in my house. And I thank God. All you got to do is put your trust in God, and he'll work it out for you. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And I acknowledge him that day. I acknowledge I need your help. Hallelujah. I need you to speak to me. I need you to tell me something. And that's what he gave me. And I thank God for that. It said, lean not to your own understanding. God knows everything. In Jeremiah, let's go to Jeremiah 29:11. And some of you might know it already, but I'm going to find it. 29:11. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And I keep that in my bathroom mirror, so I read it every morning. I read that same thing every morning. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. God say, I know the plans. God already have our plans. He already know what we're going through. He said, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So all we have to do is trust God. Don't lean on our own understanding. We don't know what the next day is going to bring, but God knows everything. He knows everything. We try to plan it, and I'm going to save this here, and I'm going to do this. And it is good to save. I'm not saying don't save your money. You need to save money. But if you don't have any, I mean, you can't pay your bills, you're struggling, people are rising up against you, you got to trust in God. That's the only way you're going to make it. Even little things, I ask God, God, help me do this. And I'll be around the house like I'm talking to another person. God, I can't find this. Show me where it's at. I do all of that. And he'll show me. I just walk around and say, God, I need this. God, do you see what's going on? I have a relationship with God. And when you have a relationship, God, you can talk to him like that. God, I'm going through. God, I don't feel good. God, can you help me find this? God, save my home. God, save my family. Do you see what's going on? God, don't lean on to your own understanding, because if you lean like me, I'll be ready to fix it myself. But if I fix it myself, it's going to go wrong. It's going to be some problems in the house. So I can't fix it myself. God has to fix everything. I give it over to God. And my mother used to tell us, she said, and then when you turn it over, say, cast your cares, don't go back and take it. You cast it and you're throwing it away. You casting it to God. She said, don't go back and take it. You just say, Lord, do this, and then you snatch it back. No, let him have it. Give it up. Give it over to him. Your bills I had bills that come through, and God blessed with so much. I used to drive the bus at the parking spot and used to get tips. And then once I had a bill that had to be paid. And God, I need this amount, God. And when I left work that day, I had that amount and some. God already know the plan. He know the plan he have for us. He already know. So all we have to do is give it over, cast your cares. Don't take it back, cast your cares on him. Give it to him. Trust him. Trust God. And he'll direct your path. He'll tell you which way to go or which way to turn. You just have to listen. You have to have that relationship, God. When he's talking to you, you can just always come back and the Lord will give you what to do or what to do next or how to handle the problem or how to handle the bill or when you call them and say this or say that. He will do that. Say it this way, say it that way, and God will handle it. He already knows everything. God knows everything. He knows you. He knows about your problems. He knows you. So all you have to do is give it over to him and trust him and believe. You're going to have to believe. If you don't trust God, you have to believe. When you believe, when you have that relationship, faith without works is dead. You have to believe God. I put my faith in him. I put my trust in him. All I have to do is believe. So I'm telling you today to get this in your brains and in your mind and develop a relationship with God. Develop a relationship with God. In order for God to help you and direct your path, you have to develop a relationship with God, and he knows everything. There's nothing that God don't know. He brought you into this world. He knew what you was going to do. He knew if you was going to stay saved. He knew if you was going to backslide. He knew all of that. He know your mind function, that if you're going to hang out with this person or what you're going to do, or if you get this brand new car, fast car, he know you're going to tear it up already. God knows everything. Everything. So trust in God. Trust God. Don't lean on to your own understanding. You don't know. Don't lean on to your own understanding. In all your ways. In all your ways. Talk to God. Acknowledge God. Talk to him. And he will direct your path.
Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity, one, to give your heart to God. It is vital, it's important, and I believe this word has taught you and has reached your heart. Simply say this prayer. Father, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he died and rose again for my salvation. And according to the scripture, when you say it in sincerity and believe it, you are saved. But then I want to encourage you to become a member of North Houston Church so that you can be encouraged, instructed, lifted, and there will be fellowship. You can do it in person or online. You belong here.